Good morning and welcome to 12 to Know. It is Thursday, April 16th, 2026, and here is what you need to know. Story 1. U.S. News. Trump moves to erase Jan 6 convictions. The Trump administration filed papers Tuesday to vacate seditious conspiracy convictions against Proud Boys and Oath Keepers involved in January 6. About a dozen defendants who received lengthy sentences for planning the riot were released from prison but kept their felony records. In their filing, DOJ wrote, "It's not in the interests of justice to continue to prosecute these cases." This marks a stunning reversal of fortunes for Jan 6 defendants convicted of the most serious crimes that day. Speaking of Trump's Justice Department, immigration detention facilities are seeing record deaths this year. Story 2, U.S. News. ICE custody deaths hit record high. This week, ICE reported the 16th immigrant detainee death in 2026. During all of 2024, just 11 people died in custody. Though the number in ICE detention has dropped 11% since February, more than 60,000 people remain in custody, nearly double the number before Trump returned to office. The agency has come under scrutiny from Democrats, with much focus on Camp East Montana in El Paso, which detains more immigrants than any other facility. Now to international news, where the U.S. continues diplomatic efforts with Iran. Story 3, U.S. News. White House optimistic on Iran peace deal. The Trump administration feels good about prospects of a deal with Iran, the White House said Wednesday, while noting Pakistan would be the likely location of a potential second round of talks. Iran's foreign minister said Tehran remains committed to promoting peace after meeting Pakistan's military chief, a key intermediary. Meanwhile, the U.S. military says its blockade of Iranian ports has been fully implemented, and forces have completely halted economic trade going into and out of Iran by sea. Staying in the Middle East, Trump announced a historic call between Israeli and Lebanese leaders. Story 4. U.S. News. Supreme Court Justice slams Kavanaugh on immigration. Justice Sotomayor said Kavanaugh probably doesn't really know any person who works by the hour in relation to his comments on immigration sweeps. The sharp rebuke came during oral arguments over the administration's workplace enforcement policies. The exchange highlighted deep divisions on the court about Trump's expanded immigration crackdown. Sotomayor's comments were unusually direct for the typically reserved justice. Internationally, diplomatic breakthroughs are happening in the Middle East. Story 5. World. Israel, Lebanon. Leaders to speak after 34 years. President Trump announced that the leaders of Israel and Lebanon will speak to each other for the first time in 34 years on Thursday. Israeli cabinet member Gila Gamliel told Army Radio that Prime Minister Netanyahu will speak with Lebanese President Joseph Aoun. Lebanese officials told news agencies they had no information about any upcoming contact with Israel's leadership. Lebanon was pulled into the U.S.-Israel war on Iran after Tehran-aligned Hezbollah fired rockets at Israel in retaliation for killing Iran's supreme leader. Pakistan is playing a key diplomatic role in Middle East peace efforts. Story 6. World. Pakistan mediates U.S.-Iran peace talks. A high-level delegation led by Pakistan's army chief held talks with officials in Iran on the possibility of a new round of negotiations between Tehran and Washington. White House spokesperson expressed optimism for continued negotiations, saying future talks were likely to be held again in Pakistan's capital, Islamabad. The diplomatic push comes as both sides seek to end nearly 7 weeks of war. Pakistan's military leadership has emerged as a crucial intermediary between the warring parties. The global economy is feeling the strain from ongoing conflicts. Story 7. World. Global growth slows under war's shadow. The global economy is again disrupted by the outbreak of war in the Middle East. Under the assumption of a limited conflict, global growth is projected at 3.1% in 2026 and 3.2% in 2027, below recent outcomes. Global inflation is expected to tick up in 2026 before resuming its decline in 2027. Pressures are concentrated in emerging market economies, especially commodity importers with vulnerabilities. A longer conflict could significantly weaken growth and destabilize financial markets. Despite global uncertainty, U.S. stock markets are hitting new heights. Story 8. Business. S&P 500 and NASDAQ hit record highs. The S&P 500 and tech-heavy NASDAQ rose to new all-time highs and closed at new records. A strong rally in stocks capped a 2-week recovery in which the indexes erased all losses tied to the war with Iran. Investors have leaned into optimism about the U.S.-Iran ceasefire, although it remains fragile. Stock futures are rising and oil prices are climbing after both indices closed at record highs. Tech stocks led the charge despite ongoing geopolitical tensions. Energy markets remain volatile as Iran's conflict continues. Story 9. Finance. Europe's jet fuel supply crisis deepens. The head of the International Energy Agency warned that Europe could have only weeks of jet fuel supplies remaining, raising the risk of flight disruptions if oil flows remain constrained by the Iran conflict. IEA Executive Director Fatih Birol described the situation as the largest energy crisis we have ever faced. In the past, there was a group called Dire Straits. It is a dire strait now, and it is going to have major implications for the global economy, Birol said. In sports news, the Minnesota Twins pulled off a stunning upset. Story 10. Sports. Twins demolish Red Sox star pitcher. The Minnesota Twins hammered Red Sox star Garrett Crochet, who allowed 11 runs in just 1 2/3 innings during a 13-6 Twins victory at Target Field. The Twins have won 5 straight home games in their last 5 games against left-handed starting pitchers. Less than a week after chasing Tigers ace Tarek Skubal in the 5th inning, Minnesota's offense continues to demolish elite left-handed pitching despite historically struggling against lefties. Now for a story that's captured hearts around the world. Story 11. Human interest. Punch the monkey's heartwarming zoo journey. Punch-kun, a baby Japanese macaque at Ichikawa City Zoo in Japan, gained viral attention worldwide for his attachment to a large orangutan stuffed toy. Born in July 2025, he was abandoned by his mother, who lacked interest in raising him. Experts attribute age, health, and inexperience as potential factors in mothers abandoning offspring. As of February 23rd, the zoo reported Punch was playing with other monkeys without requiring help from caretakers and was clinging to his plushie less while socializing with adult monkeys. And finally, let's end with something to make you smile. Story 12. And finally, IKEA's unexpected monkey mascot success story. IKEA representatives visited Ichikawa City Zoo and donated 33 stuffed toys to Punch. Sales of the Jungle Skog orangutan plushie heavily increased, selling out in the majority of IKEA locations. In March, Blackpink member Lisa visited Punch herself and posted an Instagram story of her own orangutan plushie from IKEA. The Swedish furniture giant even featured Punch in advertising with the caption, "Sometimes family is who we find along the way." Who knew a $20 stuffed animal could become a symbol of hope worldwide? That wraps another edition of 12 to Know, keeping you informed on the stories that matter most. From Washington to Tehran, from Wall Street to a small zoo in Japan, the world keeps turning with moments of tension and unexpected joy. Stay curious, stay informed,